dear friends. So in this video we will be looking on how are we able to submit a form, and as you can see here, this is the previous part of the lesson that we have covered in the previous video, where I have gone through on how are we able to create the basic React forms. So as you know, React forms have this basic inputs, and also they have an happen to have on-change functions actually, where we actually store the inputs as a variable, and that variable is actually like you can actually make it like you can make it actually a state, and that state will be having a array of other elements. For example, first name here, last name here. So whatever we type in here, whatever inputs that we give it here for first name and last name, we will be able to set this variable called form data as an array like this. An object, by the way, this is an object, array of object. So the next thing is that what happens when we need, of course we need to submit a button, submit the forms. Yeah, that's the basic idea of this part of the video. I'll be covering. So let's go to this part where we have the inputs here, and of course since we have inputs, we need to have form here. So first of all, we need to start with form, where there'll be another new function called on submit. So on submit actually it comes with every single time where you actually have a form. So this will be really helpful when you're using React forms. So what you need to do, just need to create just exactly like this. For example, here you say on change, and then we place it the name of the function that we wanted it to be stored as. For example, here we say handle change. So handle change happens to be then the function that we would like to keep it, but in this case we're gonna have a different function called handle submit. And as you can see, we have not created a function called handle submit because yeah, we'll be creating it now. So let's go, and yeah, before when we click on this, there must be a way to actually make this function to work. Okay, make this on submit to work is when you happen to have a button. Only when you happen to have a button called, let's go and just type button, and that button must be a button where it actually submits the form. So in order to create such button, just put button type. Okay, button type is actually submit. Okay, so this is what does it do is that we'll be creating a new button called it's a button where it actually submits. As you can see here, is handle submit is not defined. Okay, before that let me just close it for a while. So as you can see, I would like to create a button called submit, and of course I need to remove this for a while, and let's click on save, and you'll be happen to have a button like this. So this button should be having a text that says anything. In this case I will say submit as well. So this submit button will be able to submit the actual form like this, by the way. Okay, so now let's go and actually do the following step, which is to make sure whatever you submit, it must be of course it needs to have the form on submit function, which is on whatever you submit here, you need to be calling this particular function name handle submit. So the next thing is we need to create another new function which is handle submit. So function handle submit like this, open and close curly. I mean, yeah, you need to have this particular how do you say yeah, bracket to receive parameters, and of course it's an arrow function. And let me just close it. I mean, yeah, just make it like this. Since arrow function need to be having a proper way of actually calling them. In this case, yeah, you won't be needing arrow function if you are using normal function without arrows. Just put like this. It's simple, like this simple way. So and the next thing is that this handle submit need to be receiving event as a parameter. The same goes to like this. For as you can see here, we have receiving event as a parameter. So here also we'll be having event as our own parameter for this handle submit. And that event, of course, we need to, okay, whatever handle submit happens, so whenever when we click on button here, it needs to run this particular function. Okay, I like to say console.log. This case submit is clicked. Okay, so I like to hit save. Okay, I've saved. Now let's go and click on submit here. So let's go to our inspect element, and of course need to like to make this a bit more wider than because we would like to see what's going in the back. And as you can see here, I mean, oh yeah, I forgot to make sure that to not to output this console, which we have did in our previous video. So let's go and hit save again, and let's refresh this again. Okay, so you can see here, the only when you click on submit button, you must be seeing something going on, and that something is actually the console that, oops, sorry, submit. Okay, as you can see here, you know there's this something happens like whenever when you click on submit, you're actually submitting the form. So in this case we would, okay, let's not have this particular submit where it refreshes the page. We don't want it to submit the form yet. So for now I would like to go to handle submit function, and of course I like to have this another new event function. For example, event, it's actually pre-built, so you don't have to make a custom one. So you just have to say event dot prevent default. Okay, so it has to be a function like this. So let's click on save and let's see what happens. Click on save and let's refresh this page, and click on submit, and as you can see the page does not load because we have placed this function, this pre-built event dot function called prevent default. What it does is it does not submit the form yet, and as you can see here, submit this button is clicked is working over here as well. So that's what is meant. So instead of alert here, I mean instead of console log here, I'd like to make it to alert like this. So alert is also a good way to actually test your forms because it's really nice. So because we are not supposed to I mean we are not actually submitting a form yet, just going to test does it work like this. So as you can see here, the alert is working by the way, and that's it for this part. And let me just close this console for a while. Just open this, close it, and put it to this left right hand side like this. Okay, so next thing is that we must make sure when we are submitting a form, that form has to be validated before we submit the form. So in order to validate, make sure that the form, all the fields in the forms have been filled, we must be placing functions, I mean just like conditions where, oh, as this input has been filled, or this input has been filled or not. So that's what this particular this part of the video I'll be covering, this part. So this part just need to go below here and make sure you need to click on if, yeah, because we need to check whether all the functions have been, all the inputs have been filled. So you just need to say we're just going to use whatever we have used it like this before here. In this case we're gonna make sure the form data is actually not empty. So form data is basically the variable itself. So form data dot, what is the input name dot first name. Okay, so first name, as long if the first name is not empty, and also we must make sure, I mean for form data, the second input, which is dot last name, is not empty as well. And only if we qualify this particular if statement, we must make sure we input a certain alert, I mean a certain condition of basically submitting the form. So as you can see here, only when these two fields are not empty, so we must make sure thanks, we must like just need to give like a thanks for filling up all the details like this, something like this. Okay, of course you need to make sure we put it inside a code. And of course this alert is when all these forms are filled and none of them are empty actually. So and next thing is that we need to make sure we need to save this before we move on. So once we have saved it, let's go and just say something like this. So I just gonna fill the first one, I'm gonna leave the second one empty. So just gonna say type submit, and as you can see here it says thanks for filling up all the details. And because as you can see here, what I made it here is that I need to like it's either this is not empty or this is not empty. So that's the one that I'm trying to do here. And as you can see, but submit is clicked also. So we need to make sure we need to save this before that anything. So only this is as field, and this is not field. Okay, so as I mean, I just wanted to clarify only if this is empty or if this is empty, the first statement runs. So when both of them are actually, when we put in another else statement, and that else statement is where is like a positive, where this is not the one, but I have to make this print here. Yeah, I was wrong, by the way. It was supposed to be else is where we fill up with the details, where it's actually to clarify that all the forms have been filled. So this is the first if statement is meant for if you have left any of the fields blank. For example, you have left either form data is empty or last name is empty. You must say please, yeah, please submit, please fill up all the details. Yeah, okay. So as you can see here, like to see, click on save, and let's go and refresh this. And of course, I like to make sure I only fill the first field, and I like to click on submit like this, and it says please fill all the details. And the reason is because we have not filled last name, but we have only filled the first name. And let's say if I didn't fill any of them. Okay, let's click on save, and as you can see here, it says please fill up all the forms. And as you can see here, let's say if I fill up both of them, what happens is that thank you for filling up all the details. So as you can see here, this particular first if statement is basically to make sure if you have left, to make sure you have left any blank spaces. So that's what it's the first thing is meant for, the first if. And its else statement will be meant for if you have filled all the details and none of the inputs are empty. Okay, and that's the basic idea of how are we able to submit forms whenever when you click on submit. For example, here this is the thing that we should make sure before we click on when you submit a form, and that will be very easy to actually create a new record in database. So that's it for me for this part of the video, and then we should also need to cover about how are we able to make sure that both of the passwords, let's say we used to have password, and also we also need to have a retype password, another field. So that will be we'll be covering in our next videos. So until then, let's meet in another video where I'll be covering more on this topic. So thank you guys for watching till the end. So let's meet in the next one. Thanks.